Good night, everyone. Tonight, God is good, and God is good all the time. My name is Summer Jazz Sprizzer. Why don't we give you a little shout news and a word on tonight? Um, we still talking about this government shutdown. The government shutdown. The shutdown is like in 2 days. Will be critical to the world. It's too late. For the CR, you have like 30 days. We are supposed to represent this here. CR which would will give us time. So the last government, shutdown we had was like 35 days. It lasted 35 days, and this was like December of 2018. So this shutdown will affect many business. A lot of business. They have employees and everything to pay people. It would not. A lot of people will not get paid. Social Security will not get their check. So this world will be shaken up. It will be shaken down. If this shutdown will affect. It will affect so many businesses. Social Security and Medicaid. So many people will not get paid. So this will affect the whole world. This will affect the whole world. So there will be no shutdown. We cannot have no shutdown. We have to turn this around some kind of way. This will be critical, on this world, all businesses, and they have employees to pay. You got Social Security, that's their only income, and we have workers, their check will be held up. It will be held up. So there will be no shutdown. We cannot have no shutdown. We have to turn this around some kind of way. No shutdown. Cause this will be critical to have a shutdown. So we still talk about the impeachment. Impeachment had been set for President Bennett. We have big problems to tangle with, like this shutdown. You know, that's what we have to put our focus on. So there are insignificant evidence against Mr. President Bennett. You pulling away. He pulling away. McCarthy pulling away from the real crisis. We have to focus on the government shutdown. So no we have no good evidence, there will be no impeachment. Let's just focus on the shutdown. And there will be no shutdown. We have to focus on um what we gonna do, what we have to do. We have to turn this around some kind of way. So there will be no shutdown, there will be no impeachment. But I do have a word for you on tonight. The widow, Oliver. This gonna be the prophet Elijah. It is gonna come from Second Kings chapter 4 verse 1-7. So a wife of a man from a company of the prophet had cried out to Elijah. Your servant my husband is dead. She's telling him, my husband is dead. And that he reversed the Lord. But now his creditor is coming to take him, two boys as his slave. Now, see, back then, if you owe debt, and anything, and you don't have the money to pay it, back then, they would take your children. They'll take you and your children to pay for the debt that she owed. Now, her husband died, but she responsible for the back bills or creditor that he did not pay. So back then, poor people was allowed to pay their debt by selling themselves or their children as slaves. Now God ordered, rich people and creditors not to take advantage, of these people during their time of need. But this woman creditor was not acting in a spirit of God law. See, God had this law. you know, and it was what, like back then, they had money to pay their debt, they were able to sell their self or either or their children to pay their debt. So Elijah had replied to her, how can I help you? So now she telling Elijah all this here stuff. That her husband dead, the creditors were coming at her house, she don't have no money to pay. So Elijah like, well, okay, you telling me all this here. How can I help you? So tell me what to do. What do you have in your house? Your servant had nothing there at all, and she said, except a small jar of olive oil. So Elijah, he about to do some magic, but all the power coming from God. You know, he's now this woman said, all I have is a small jar, of flour and olive oil. So now we see Elijah working as Elijah. Because remember, Elijah depart up in heaven. He's dropped his spirit down for Elijah to take over what he left off at. So did this widow husband, die and left her to pay all the bills. Now she has nothing but her two boys. A small jar of olive oil. And see, this is what I want to tell everyone. When you are married, when you are married, don't depend on that man to pay all those bills. You have to get a job and you have to pay some bills because this widow ain't never worked. The husband worked. But now he dead. She don't have no money, don't know how she gonna pay the bills. So y'all don't need to get in that kind of predicament. You have to still work and make money because you'll be like this widow here. The husband died and left over all the bills. So now we see, so all she had was a small jar of olive oil. So for all the ladies, when you are married, living with someone, and they paying all the bills, you never know what's gonna happen because things happen so quick. So you have to learn how to pay bills. You got to learn the responsibility. Because I know they got a lot of women depend on a man. It's good, a man take care of you, but you got to know the responsibility also. You got to get a part-time job or something, because you never know what gonna happen. She never know her husband was gonna die all of a sudden. You just don't know. And so you have to be responsible and very intelligent to take over, once he gone. So with someone, make sure you are working, so you won't be in this predicament like this widow. So your husband is dead, and then see, if your husband died all of a sudden and then you already had a job, being responsible, saving money, she'll be fine. Now this widow had no saving money on the side. She was not working, and she don't know how she gonna pay these bills. And the man said, I will be back. You know how determined is the man, the creditor said, I'm gonna be back. So now she figuring out how is she gonna pay this bill. But she have a small jar of olive oil. And watch how God can do miracles with that small jar of olive oil. Now all this woman have is a small jar of olive oil. Elijah said, go around and ask all your neighbors for empty jars. Don't ask for just a few. Ask for a lot of empty jars. Now she had to go all around her neighbors, asking, do you have any jar? So remember, she have a small jar of olive oil. Elijah telling her to go around her neighbors, knock on the door, and see if anyone have a jar. Now she is gone. She had to go to all her neighbors, get empty jars. And now Elijah is about to proceed a miracle with the tools that she had. See, a lot of time, all you need is the tools that you have in your house already to work with. A lot of people, be talking about you don't have nothing to eat. I said, what you have? You got red beans? You got a can. That's why I tell everyone, always keep you a pack of red beans, or some butter beans, or some canned goods, green beans, and all this kind of stuff. You can always make a meal with the tools that you have in your house. So Elijah is about to see a miracle. With the tools that she have in her house, to pay her bill. Now she don't know how, what they're gonna do. I have a little jar of olive oil, and you telling me to go get all kind of jars, empty jars from all my neighbors. What we gonna do with that? How we gonna pay the bills with that? But she got to pay attention. She got to have faith. She got to believe what Elijah about to do. So remember, she have a small job, and Elijah about to see a miracle, with the tools that she have. With the tools that she have. And he said, then go inside, shut the door behind you in your son, put the oil into all the jar, and as each is filled, put it to one side. Now, this is a miracle. Now remember, she had a small jar of oil. She collect all the empty jars around the neighbor. Now Elijah telling her to put that oil in all them jars. And she ain't got but a little oil in the jar herself. But that's a miracle about to proceed right now. But a little oil that she have in a small jar. Now he telling her to fill all the empty containers up. So now the empty jars that she collected to put oil in, each until it is filled. Remember, she collects so many jars with a small jar of oil that she have, but we about to see what Elijah about to do next. Now she left him. She followed the instruction. Shut the door behind her, like he said. Her and her son. And they brought the jar to her, and she kept pouring. She kept pouring. Every time her son bring her a jar, she kept on pouring. And that's a miracle. So when all the jar was full, now she said to her son, give me another jar. She on the ball now. She putting all that out in all these empty containers. Remember, she just had a little oil that's filling up all these containers. Bring me another container, she told her son. But he replied, there is not a jar left. And then the oil had stopped. And see, that's God doing. God kept that oil floating. He kept it floating. Long God was using his power, she was filling all them empty jars up with oil. And when her son said, we don't have no more jar, God stopped the oil. God only had the oil pulling, long as they had the jars coming in. So the woman and her son collected jars from their neighbors, pulling oil into them from one pot. So the oil was probably of olive oil and was used for cooking, for lamp, and for fluid. So the oil stopped pulling only when it ran out of containers. Only when she ran out of container. Long as she had container, God had the oil keep on moving. It was keep on pouring until she ran out of container. So the numbers were not counted, but God used a little oil that she had and kept it flowing long as she had containers. Now at first she had a lack of faith. But the man of God had asked, what you have in your house. First she had lack of faith. She ain't know how she was going to pay her bill. She telling Elijah, the man said he going to come back. And I don't know what I'm going to do. My husband is dead and I don't have no money to pay my bills. So Elijah said, what you have in your house? Elijah about to he used the tools that she had in her house. She obeyed and she had faith, that God, will work it out. And God did. See what it was. You know, God already knew her situation. See, a lot of time, she ain't prayed. She didn't pray for God. She was praying to God. See, when you pray to God, you don't know how God gonna fix it. She prayed to God, but she didn't know how God was gonna fix it. God sent the man of God down to her, you know, to fix the problem. And Elijah said, now I need to know what kind of tools you got in this house. And she said, all I got is a small jar of oil. But you go around all your neighbors, and ask them to give you an empty jar. And she obeyed, and followed his instruction. That she went and told a man of God, and she said, go, sell the oil, and pay your debt. You and your son can live on what you have left. And see, that's a miracle. She had so many jobs, and she sold them. So she still had money left over, uh, Earl left over. That was a miracle. When she didn't know how she was gonna pay her bill, she prayed to God. When we pray to God, we don't know how God gonna answer us. We don't know how He gonna fix it, but He fixed it. He saw the man of God there, had him to use the tools that she had in her house. And she went all around, and sold all, not sold all the oil. She still had leftovers. She had enough to pay her bills and still had leftovers. So she went from nothing, didn't know how she was going to pay her bills after her husband had died. But the man of God arrived. And you see, God always do things on time. Elijah got there at the nick of time because she said that creditor was coming. He said, I'll be back. So Elijah wound up and got there before the man came back. Because see, that's how God works. See, God can see everything that's going on. He saw this widow needed help. So God sent the man of God there to help her. So after her husband died, until the man of God arrived, Elijah prepared for the miracle. He told her to go and to around her neighbors and ask for an empty jar, and all she had was a little oil, and a miracle and a power will come from God. And God kept that oil floating until she ran out of containers. Once she ran out of containers, God stopped the flow. So long as she had empty containers, God kept the oil floating until she ran out of containers was gone. And she had enough to pay her bills, and she had some left over to live on. That was amazing. That was amazing when you went from nothing and collect so much to pay your bills until she had leftovers. So that was God power. That was God provision. So this woman's story was not only in danger, of losing her income, but also her hope and her children in order to survive. Her two living sons, her only future means of income would have to be sold into slavery to repay her family debt. Now she had nothing, but a small job error, and then she had leftover. Elijah perceived a miracle, but it was all God power. You see, this woman had went from nothing, nothing. She had faith and she believed in Elijah and made everything work. At first she got that she was hysterical. My husband has died. I don't know how I'm gonna pay these bills. So Elijah, like, okay, you telling me this, but what you want me to do? She said, I don't know. I don't have. I might have to give my sons up. So Elijah said, okay, what you got in your house? What you got in your house? He about to use the tools that you got in your house, and that's what I tell a lot of people. What you got in your house. You could cook some red beans. You could cook some green beans in the can. It's all kind of ways, that you have tools in your house that you can work with. So that's all the word. And we talk about the impeachment. There will be no impeachment. There was no evidence. There was no evidence. There was no wrongdoing going on, and this impeachment came out around the time the government shut down. So we had to put our focus. We had to put our focus on the shutdown. So we talk about the shutdown. It's gonna be critical to the whole world. It'll affect the businesses. A lot of workers will not get paid. It gonna affect the Social Security, Medicaid, the security at the border, so this will affect so many things in the world. A lot of it's gonna impact a lot of workers with their check will not get paid. So this will not be good at all. So I say there will be no shutdown, there will be no impeachment. So that's all the word. In the news that I have for you on tonight. Y'all have a blessed and safe night, and I see y'all on the next video.